Welcome to Lineups and Lures. Join hosts Joe and Chris as they break down the biggest stories in professional and amateur sports and reel in the best fishing stories and tips. Whether it's game day strategy or the perfect catch, we've got you covered. Grab your gear and get ready. This is Lineups and Lures. Well, how was your weekend?
Weekend was a lot of sports this weekend. No wife, no kid. They were out of town, and I got to sit around and catch up on some sports, and there was no shortage of opportunity.
Yeah, hold down Big Blue all weekend?
Well, Big Blue was downstairs. I didn't want to have to keep running up and down the stairs to get something to eat or drink, so I stayed upstairs in the living room. But still, I was on the couch, and it was awesome.
Nice.
Got a little work done in there too, but no, I watched a lot of sports.
Yeah, did you get to watch a lot of the March Madness games?
Didn't watch any of the March Madness games.
Any of them?
Not a minute.
Really?
Not a minute.
Is there a reason for that, or did it just kind of work out that way?
Well, there were other opportunities. One, in the priority level for me, it wasn't one, and it was just there were other opportunities. I was watching Beaver baseball. I actually watched the Blazer game on Sunday. They were playing Celtics. There was a Formula One race that I was tuned into, and I even watched a little golf for a second. So there just wasn't any more time.
There was a lot of opportunities this week, that's for sure. There were some good games, though.
I heard there was some buzzer beaters and a few upsets. I think I called it. There was a few 12s that beat a 5 seed, which happens every year.
Is that really calling it anymore? There's one every year minimum.
I'm claiming it.
All right, fine, whatever.
Claiming it.
So did you even fill out a bracket this year?
Nope.
Wow.
Nope.
I did. I'm 97th percentile on ESPN.
So it sounds like favorites are winning for the most part then.
I did absolutely no research. I just went in, picked a bunch of teams, and 97th percentile. Somehow I'm still second place in the PBC bracket, so I don't know who's beating me. It's some random name, but I'm not happy about that because I got a really good bracket going right now.
Can you win any money on this deal?
No, this is just bragging rights.
Ah, all right. Well, yeah, it's still fun to win.
Yeah.
What is there an upset or something you need to happen to or are you pretty much betting favorites all the way in?
I got all 4-1 seeds going to the championship.
So you're the guy at the racetrack that puts his money on the favorite to win. I got it. Okay, I'm going to take my 10 cents on the dollar.
Hey, there's a reason they're called the favorites, right? I did pick Duke to win it, and if you watch those games this weekend, I mean, Duke is hands down the number one team in college basketball, and they got quite a few professional players on that roster.
So, okay. Yeah, no, they do. Obviously everybody's talking about Cooper Flagg and the number one pick. Maybe bringing it a little closer to home. The one game I was actually going to watch, and I just kind of got busy watching something else, was the Oregon-Arizona game. Obviously, big game for everybody in the Northwest, and also there's some local talent on that Duck team. What can you tell us about that game?
It was a great game. I mean, it was back and forth. It was within a couple of possessions, pretty much the entire game. Arizona just kind of pulled it out at the end. I mean, Love is a pretty darn good college basketball player, and he's going to be a really good NBA player probably after this year. Shellstead did everything he could to keep the Ducks in that game. It was just probably a little too late. But it was a really good game, a lot of good energy. Took forever because, college basketball games that replay system is great. We're getting the calls correct. I have no problem with getting the call right. But last 30 seconds of a college basketball game is taking anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes to get through because there was one game where there was 4 straight plays reviewed. No flow to the game after that.
So that's an interesting point where you've got both the replay and also you've got the fouling that takes place in close games in both the NBA and college hoop. Do you think there is a way to maybe, for the sake of the fans, and I don't know, maybe you're in the tournament, no one cares because it's the tournament, and if you sit there watching, but, I know sometimes, we joke that the last 2 minutes of an NBA game takes half an hour, between the timeouts, the foul shots, the subs, the replay, the whatever, and it's like, I think that starts to take away from the fan experience as well. So is there a way where you maybe implement extra foul shot, some sort of penalty, extra penalty to speed up the game in the last 2 minutes?
No, the fouling makes total sense. That's part of the game, and that's how you keep your team in the game in a lot of cases. The problem is the replay.
Okay.
Basketball is the only sport that
doesn't
the referees actually go over to the monitor and look at the replay.
So they need a hub system like the NFL, Major League Baseball.
Yes. And hey, maybe I understand NCAA doesn't have the money. Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
But you should have a hub center where all the games are on and you have dedicated people watching the game. So that way, like in the NFL, they're constantly getting that information in the microphone, in their earpiece, going, hey, we need to change the spot, or, whatever the case may be. It's that instant replay. Even in baseball, I mean, with the new ABS system, I mean,
it's seconds.
It's 5 seconds.
Yeah.
It doesn't take away from the game at all. But in the NBA and in college basketball, the referees got to go over. They got to look at the video. Then they got to walk away. They got to talk about what they saw. And then they got to go back. And then they got to look at the clock. Just have the eye in the sky do it.
Well, it sounds like this is something that will get taken care of the next bargaining agreement or whatever. But because I don't think you're looking for any material change in what you're saying. You're just looking for a more efficient process to get there. So
exactly.
Maybe to wrap up hoops a little bit here, watching a little bit of the Blazer game, they are on an absolute gauntlet on who they are playing. I mean, I think they play every playoff team that's left for the rest of the season. And I think you and I touched on this earlier, that there may be the occasional game where they catch a team that's resting, or for whatever, seeding has been decided and they're going to get some free ones. But they sure didn't get a free one against the Celtics yesterday. And what do we think their playing chances stand at this point?
I think they're still in a really tough spot, but there is still some games there's a Sacramento game, there's a San Antonio game, so there's still some opportunities. And hey, if you would have told me we got Memphis followed by Boston, are we going to win either of those games? I would have thought we would have won the Boston game because they'd be resting guys, East Coast team going to the West Coast. Instead, they played their whole squad, and that was actually a pretty competitive game for 3 quarters until Boston kind of pulled away.
Yeah, no, it was. Boston obviously got on a run early. The Blazers got it back. And then, Boston had that secondary run. And unfortunately, it was the local kid that was a big part of that run, because that boy can shoot. But I think there was plenty of people in the crowd that may have been there to cheer on him as well. So it was a mixed reaction when the ball went in for him from the crowd, because there was, let's just say, subdued applause from even some Blazer fans that know Peyton Pritchard's local kids. So yeah, no, I think with the Blazers, you're right. I just don't know if we're gonna get there, but it's very promising moving forward.
It is. I mean, it's fun to watch them make a run, and they've become a little bit relevant again. But yeah, we're 5 games back with 12 to play, so that's going to be a hard one to overcome.
Yeah, I think essentially we're 4.5, because we got to. Phoenix has the tiebreaker over us, so if you consider that we got to leapfrog Dallas and Phoenix, we're 4.5 in the loss column to get there. So yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to happen, but. Still nice to see the guys putting in a good effort down the stretch.
It is. How about the impact that Jimmy Butler's made on the Warriors?
So I don't watch enough NBA, and I'm still not prepared to be a full fan of the NBA yet. But it's obviously made a difference. And look, the reality is there's no question about that guy's ability. It was really, for him, I'd still like to know what went so south in Miami. And B, I mean, he probably one of the best defenders in the league. Plus, he is also, what he brings to that team, and his ability to stretch to be that 3-and-D guy and also go down the lane. I mean, he's an all-star for a reason. So, Jimmy has been a big part of that team's change.
They really made a big change, a big adjustment. I think they're like 8-2 in their last 10, and they were not looking like a playoff team. And that's where the trade deadline, is awesome, because that's a team that's fluttering. And they go and they make a big deal, bring in a guy. Next thing you know, now not only are they not in the play-in series, but they're looking like a legitimate title contender.
Yeah.
And same with the Lakers. I mean, Lakers are the 4th seed right now. Like, Luka's, down 40 pounds since the trade. I mean, wow, what a deal.
Well, all right. So let's go back to Golden State to finish up first there. I think sometimes a breath of fresh air can be great for players in general. We've seen it a million times. A guy's struggling in one town, goes to a different town, brings in a breath of fresh air, and whether it's him walking into a different locker room or maybe the different locker room that he walks into, it works for everybody. So that's obviously happened here, and we'll see. I mean, does Steph have one more run in him? Probably worth watching down the line. I still don't buy the Lakers. I think there is a guy on that team that is over the hill and can't play like he used to, and I just don't think he's there. Luka is going to be great. He is a good player. I don't like the other guy. I don't think he's got enough left in the tank, and I just don't like the guy. So,
Well, unfortunately, I don't think either of those two teams are coming out of the Western Conference. So
no,
makes for a good story down the stretch run. But
there's a team in Oklahoma City that I think's got something to say about this, and they just appear to be head and shoulders above. I mean, barring an injury to the wrong guy, I just don't see it. But playoff basketball, any playoff sport is a funny animal. We've all seen teams go on runs, and sometimes you get cold at the wrong time or get hot at the right time. So yeah, I looked at the bookmakers. I think the Celtics are minus 120 to win the East, and I think Oklahoma City is like minus 140 to win the West, which is ridiculous odds. You're not even getting 1-to-1 on your money back. So that's what Vegas thinks.
Step up your game at Portland Baseball Club. Whether you're a beginner looking to learn the fundamentals or an experienced player ready to take your skills to the next level, our expert coaches are here to help you succeed. Our training programs focus on developing key skills such as hitting, pitching, fielding, and game strategy through personalized instruction and hands-on drills. Join us for specialized clinics, one-on-one coaching, group training sessions, and year-round tournament teams tailored to all skills and age levels. With state-of-the-art facilities and a supportive environment, you'll gain the confidence and expertise to excel on the field. Don't miss your chance to become a part of Portland's premier baseball community and elevate your game today. Learn more at portlandbaseballclub.com and see how we inform, instruct, and inspire the next generation of athletes. Did you watch some Beaver baseball this weekend?
I watched a lot of Beaver. Well, I tried to watch a lot of Beaver baseball.
Friday night was a little rough.
Friday night, I ended up listening to the Beaver baseball game, although it was nice having Mike Parker on the radio, which is for everybody in the Northwest that knows. Mike's been around Beaver sports for, 30? Is it 40 years?
It's been a while.
It's been at least 30 years, and he is the heart and soul and the voice of the Oregon State Beavers, and quite frankly, he does a really good job. Listening to the guys on TV this week on ESPN, that was maybe some of the worst commentary I've heard in my life.
It was amazing. I listened to the game on Sunday because I had the game on mute. So I was basically, I had college basketball on TV, had the laptop up with the Beaver game on, no voices, didn't have to hear anything. And I listened to it a little bit on Sunday, and I lasted about half an inning before I was like, these guys, they just not have anything to talk about? What is going on here?
It was worse than watching paint dry. I mean, It was just terrible. And the one guy that would be like, and I have an update from the league, and Cal State Fullerton has won. I'm like, dude.
Yeah, have some fun out there.
Exactly. This is meant to be fun. Like, you're talking about baseball and guys having fun. Like, have fun with it.
Yeah. You're telling me in a school like that, there's not a single marketing person or somebody that wants to get into broadcasting or...
Right?
There's got to be somebody out there.
So, yeah, no, those two were brutal. And unfortunately, what I also tried to do was I tried to listen to Mike on the radio while watching the game, but he was about... the delay was about 10 seconds, which is just a little bit too long.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
It didn't work. So, anyway.
Which, hey, at least you could have turned it off right before the walk-off home run on Saturday.
Well, yeah. Well, all right. So let's talk Beaver baseball. Really quickly, Friday night, kind of as advertised. Keljo came out. Now, what I don't know is the extent of his injury yet. He came out of that game early. He came out, I think, in the middle of the fourth. Segura had to come on and throw 4 innings of relief, which is obviously not the plan, but he came in through a great game. There was a little controversy late in that game, which we could talk about here in a minute, but at the end of the day, Beavers won 4-1 behind great pitching and good defense again. The one thing I did want to talk to you about was, so in the 8th inning, Beavers give up a 2-run home run. That was called back because of a pitch clock violation.
Interesting. I did not see that.
Yeah. So here is my deal. Why do the team that created the penalty now get saved by said penalty?
Because the rule is that it's dead. As soon as the umpire calls it dead, it's dead. It's not a balk. It's not a live balk. It's dead. Because the umpire is probably jumping up, throwing his hands up in the air saying, hey, no pitch, no pitch, no pitch. You can't play it through.
You're right. I was just hoping to see if we could get that going for a little bit, but no, it's not.
But do you make it? Like, is that something that should be considered? That if the pitcher is starting his motion late like that, do you have a live pitch clock violation rule versus a dead ball pitch clock violation rule? I think there's some things that could go wrong with that, with umpires jumping out of the way or jumping up, not necessarily out of the way. That's an interesting one.
So I'll tell you what, let's save that conversation because I think that's a topic that we could talk about for a while. But let's focus back on the weekend series. But yes, I want to come back to that. Make a note of that. We're going to talk about that some more.
All right. So are you happy with 2 out of 3, especially the way we lost the one?
Look, I called a couple of my buddies. A couple of them are former Oregon State baseball players, and we were just debating on. So there's 2 ways to look at that. You've got that best hitter in the lineup coming up to play. The kid's hitting like 400 with home runs. Like that guy probably is going to be somewhere else next year, if not in the pros. Why do you groove him a fastball on the first pitch? Like, what are you thinking here?
Why are you pitching to him at all with 2 bases open?
So I think that's exactly where, you and I have already had this conversation off the air. I called a couple of buddies about it. And there's 2 things. Either A, it was a bonehead decision, and that one's probably got to go to Mitch or at least Gorman, the pitching coach. Like, someone's got to tell this guy, don't group this guy a fastball on first pitch. You should be nibbling at best. Or the other conversation that I had with, an older guy that's been around the game for as long as you and I have been alive. And he goes, was it maybe a situation where Mitch just wanted to see if one of the guys in the pen, who isn't one of the 3 name guys right now, could go and get an out in 9th when he needed it? And
isn't that what amateur and college sports are all about? Is gaining those experiences and learning to see if you're that guy?
And that's where, I'm not going to sit here and ream him a new one. I mean, I think he basically said, challenge up and go see if you can get this guy out.
Was there anybody in the pen hot?
I couldn't tell you, and the coverage was dog. I mean, I couldn't see.
Because that inning escalated pretty quickly, wasn't it? Like a 6-1 lead.
No, it was 6-3 going
6-3 going into it, and then it was kind of dink and dunk. And
and the problem is that obviously Segura was done, having thrown 4 innings. I think Munt had already pitched that day. And with Morel being hurt, those were like your 3 backbones in the pen. They were meant to be one Friday, one Saturday, one Sunday. And they were gone already. It's kind of that one thing where we always appear to be like an arm or 2 short in the pen. So, yeah, if someone was hot, I don't know. But here's the deal. Just don't pitch to that guy. You just don't pitch to that guy. So anyway, that was Saturday. It is what it is. Sunday, quite frankly, Cal Poly booted the ball all around the park. I think they had 5 errors on the day. We didn't play particularly well, but 5 errors. We got a few timely hits, and they tried to make a little run there again at the end. But look, at the end of the day, Beaver baseball, I mean, they've won, 11 out of 12. Coming back to a big game here in town tomorrow, which should be awesome. I know it's a full house, packed out. Should be 75 degrees tomorrow. Looking forward to that. But, they're fine. Still concerned about the bats. Defense is good. Interesting to see that Dallas got back in the lineup Sunday, had another home run. I think that guy has to be in the lineup if they're going to make a deep run, because I believe he is that top 100 type prospect that he was before the year, and adds another powerful left-handed bat to that lineup, which helps when you've already got Avila, Turley, Caraway, and Craig all hitting from the right side. Yeah, so
Craig, that's a pretty good offense.
It is, but having that left-handed bat with those, being able to go right, left through the lineup's a real thing. And so, all things considered, interesting week for the Beavs. They play the University of Washington and here in Portland at Hillsborough Stadium on Tuesday. If you can get out there, it's going to be great.
Sold out.
There was a lawn ticket available, I saw, but good luck. But go out there, support the guys, and then they've got a weird, and hopefully maybe a good precursor, but they're headed to Omaha. So they're going to get played in Nebraska.
It's not really Omaha, it's Lincoln.
Whatever. It's in the same
close
state.
Enough, right?
But, we'll see how the weather is there. I mean, at this time of year in the Midwest, who knows? But, the Beavs are headed in the right direction, so excited to see it.
Yeah, I think 2 out of 3 against that Cal Poly team is a pretty good weekend. And honestly, you could have been 3-0 with maybe a little different bullpen strategy and stuff, but Two out of 3 is good. They're still on a good streak. They're on a good run. That's a really good baseball team.
The Beavs or Cal Poly?
The Beavs.
The Beavs are really
good. And I think Cal Poly is a really good baseball team. I mean, they could win their conference, and I mean that's good for us because that strengthens our RPI, which not being part of a conference, that's really what we're relying on is strength of schedule, RPI type stuff. So
one of the things, let's talk about that for a minute since you brought that up. I think for the Beavs to have any chance of getting to Omaha, they need to host both a regional and a super regional.
I think a regional is pretty much a done deal. Because if you're going to stay in the top 10, which is where we're at for sure, you're definitely getting a regional.
It's the super regional
that's the challenge.
And the fact that we don't have a conference tournament anymore, our RPI is going to be difficult with the teams we play.
You just look at the rest of our schedule. And what is our conference tournament? It's a 4-game series against Oregon. That is going to be our conference tournament, and I think that's going to dictate if we can stay in the top 8 or if we're going to drop out of the top 8, because we're sitting right in that like 5 to 9 range in most polls.
Yeah, depending on where you look.
And Oregon's sitting right there behind us, 2 to 3 spots pretty consistently. So that's going to be a series. I think that is the most crucial series of the entire season. And if the Beavs can sweep that, I think that almost guarantees them a super regional.
Yeah, I was obviously I'd like to see that. I don't know if I'm prepared to say that's going to happen just yet, especially by Tuesday afternoon. There's not going to be a lot of arms left on Tuesday, but I think, just to bring this to, just the Northwest in general, I mean, probably a 2-2 split is the ideal situation for both teams because they don't go up, they don't go down. Everybody in the league goes, God damn it, they're both good. Or at least, if it's 3-1, but the run differential is, only a few here, a few there. I mean, I'd hate to see either team get blown out because that would severely hurt the other's chances. But no, we'll see how it goes. I mean, there's a lot of personal connections on both teams, all local guys, and we'll see how it goes.
Hi, I'm Chad with Jackson Painting and Remodel. If your home needs a fresh new look inside or out, my team and I are here to help. We specialize in indoor and outdoor painting, delivering smooth finishes, clean lines, and durable results. Whether you're refreshing your living space or boosting curb appeal, we use top quality materials to get the job done right. Call today for free estimates. Let's bring your vision to life. Jackson Painting and Remodel, trusted, professional, and ready to paint.
Got to get out and do some fishing this week.
Yeah, you did.
Got to do some fishing this morning.
Yeah, you did.
Real quick, let me just kind of recap some of what I've been doing. So,
yeah, let's hear it.
So last week, Tuesday, Wednesday, I got out and fished on the Wilson. A lot of boats, a lot of traffic, a lot of people out fishing. Water conditions were just about peak. Doesn't get much better. It was running about 5 feet, about 1,500 feet per second, which is just a great drifting flow. Ran a little bit of everything, spinners, worms, beads. Didn't have any eggs on me, but kind of ran everything else, and I was not able to come up with any fish. Definitely heard of some fish being caught, so talked to one guy, and he was 4 for 6 on the day, and talked to another guy that was 5 for 6. So there's definitely fish being caught, but, part of being a banky is you're kind of tied to that 100 feet, 200 feet of water, and if you're not willing to get there before daylight, you're not getting a lot of spots. And I got to tell you, every single pull out on the Wilson was absolutely packed last week.
Yeah, so you fished the Wilson there. I got a report from one of the guys here in the office. They actually went and fished down from Solly Smith. So They launched at Solly Smith and went down. They had 3 takedowns and 1 in the boat. So, but they basically got that first light bite, and after that were.
Do you know what they were fishing? Were they back bouncing eggs? Were they pulling plugs?
I don't, but if you want to give me 30 seconds, I can get you that piece of information. But
well, maybe we'll add that into next week's report.
We'll get that into next week because he's literally right down the hall. That's great. So this week now.
I got more to talk about last week.
Well, let's hear more of that last week then.
So Wednesday night, me and Chad of Jackson Painting, we drive to Yakima.
Oh, that's right. So much going on, I forgot. The Yakima trip.
Yeah, so we first time heading to the Yakima River, and we fished the Squalla Hatch, which is a stonefly. And it took a little while for the day to warm up with the dry fly bites. We hooked about a dozen fish between the two of us. Nothing under about 14 inches. So pretty much all in that 14 to 20 inch range. Great fighters, and about half of them were on dry flies, and the other half were on nymphing setup. So it was a great fishery, and that wind is a beast through the canyon.
Yeah, I believe it. It's it's just like being in the gorge. I mean, it's just going to nail you. I do understand that you guys are already prepared to be return customers, and you've already booked next year's trip. Is that accurate?
It will become a yearly deal. So
it will become a yearly deal. Okay.
We'll be going out with Red's Fly Fishing, which is right there on the Yakima, and we'll be staying at their cabins, which are right next to their fly shop. They have a great restaurant.
Perfect.
So you show up, wine and dine, hit the river the next day. It's about a 6-hour float. Our guide was awesome, did a great job putting us on fish, making the changes from dry to nymphing when we needed to, switching flies. We both had a lot of opportunities, so it was a really good day on the river. And 3.5 hours from Portland, it's not a bad drive. So it's definitely something that's going to be on the yearly to-do list for the March hatch. And it might even be something that we look at in the fall too, as the grasshoppers and some other stuff are starting to hatch off, and fish are a little more eager to look upwards to eat.
So when you're on the boat, does your guide have 7 or 8 rods pre-tied with different, or is he chopping and changing on the fly?
So we brought our own rods. So that's part of fly fishing, is you can bring your own rod, bring your own setup. So he set both of our rods up for dry fly fishing. So we were just fishing a single dry. And then he had a couple rods set up. I think he had 3 more in the boat that were set up for nymphing.
Okay.
So whenever we were dries, we were on our rods, and then certain water conditions come up, and then it's like, hey, let's switch over to the nymph for a little bit. So we just swapped out rods. So it's quick and easy.
Yeah, no, and that's great, because obviously when you're out there and you're moving down the river, you want to be fishing. I mean, if there's nothing in the water, you can't catch anything. So
yeah, but we had some epic bites. So we'll have Chad on here maybe later this week or early next week, and we'll get a little more in depth. But we caught some great fish and had a really good time.
Yeah, no, it sounds like you guys had a trip, and I might even have to join you on one of these ones.
Yeah, we just got to get you on the fly rod now.
Well, I've got a fly rod. I just don't use it very often. But what I did want to do is just maybe as a good segue here is, obviously the Deschutes River in May is one of your favorite fisheries. And it sounds like, and this is something I asked you already, but you've got different weather conditions. Obviously, we're moving into spring, and things are starting to warm up slowly, although if you looked outside for last week, you wouldn't believe it. So is it a situation where that hatchery works quicker than the Deschutes does? Like, speak to our listeners about that.
It's a different type of stonefly. So that's really, you're trying to fish the salmon fly hatch on the Deschutes. And that moves from north to south as far as the hatch goes. So the warmer that it gets, the earlier the hatch is. You really need a couple days in the 70s to really get those bugs moving out of the water and getting up into the trees and starting floating around. So it's all weather based. These stoneflies up in Yakima hatch more in the 55 to 60 range.
Okay.
So it's a much earlier hatch. Yep. And there were plenty of stoneflies, even some mayflies starting to show up, which is normally an April thing. But they were showing up in March. So it's just a different species of the stonefly, and therefore different species, different weather, different temperatures for when they hatch.
Okay.
So yeah, we're just kind of keeping an eye on now on the Deschutes as we head into May and see, as that weather starts getting good, you'll start to hear reports coming out of Maupin and area north of, hey, the stoneflies are starting to show up, and usually they'll fish really well in Maupin, and then all of a sudden that starts moving down into the Trout Creek and Warm Springs area, and then it starts, keep working into like Lake Billy Chinook area. So it just kind of slowly trickles to the south as the weather warms up.
Okay, so you fished this morning. Let's hear a little bit about that, and also maybe you got a few trips coming up this week also.
Yeah, so this morning went out to, I'm part of the Oregon Fishing Club. So I took Chad and a buddy out to fish out of our pontoon boats. And I fished out of my float too, because I let his buddy borrow my pontoon. But yeah, we hooked, I got 4. Our buddy got 2. Chad got a big ol' 0.
We'll be sure to bring that up when next time he's around.
Hey, it wasn't a lack of trying. Like he threw everything but the kitchen sink out there, and they just weren't biting for him. But yeah, I hooked, I got 4. I got 1 that was probably a steelhead size, probably 2.5, 3 pounds I was actually bass fishing at the time. I was dragging a worm across the bottom and just happened to get a trout. So that was pretty cool. And then hooked a couple more doing some chironomid fishing, which is kind of nymphing out of a lake.
Okay. It
was a good day on the water. It was beautiful out. Got about 3 hours in and about 6 fish. So that's pretty good.
And talk to us about what you got coming up the rest of the week.
I'm going to head out to the coast for a few days. So going to hit the Wilson and maybe Kilchis and some of these other rivers and see if I can't find anything. And then I think we're going to go do some Columbia fishing for a springer on Friday.
We're going to chase a few springers around, see if we can't find something. It is early, but sometimes the early bird gets the worm. So,
hey, is it early when the season only lasts for 2 weeks?
Well, that's the thing. What is it? April 6th, I think.
So we're already running out of time. So we got to get out there if we're going to get one.
So, yeah, we're going to go see that. We're going to go fish out by the airport there and see how that goes, which is a little different. It's lazy man's fishing, sitting in the boat waiting for the rod to go off. But, they might have to, it is Friday afternoon. I can't imagine what could possibly happen on a Friday afternoon while I'm fishing. So, we'll see.
Hey, it'd be nice to bring home dinner, that's for sure.
It would be nice to bring home
dinner. That is pretty much the best eating fish that you can catch in the Northwest.
It's right up there. It's right up there. So, yeah, all right.
Yeah, should be a fun trip. I'm looking forward to a good week of fishing here over spring break, and we're actually getting some good weather, so should be a good week.
Yep.
Enjoyed Lineups and Lures? Like, share, and rate the show to help us grow. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Thanks for listening, and catch you next time on Lineups and Lures.